Hi, everybody. Meteorologist Joe Cioffi. Weather in 5 days in 5 minutes on a busy Thursday afternoon and what will be a busier Thursday late afternoon and evening. We have a few upgrades on some of the watches and warnings that are up and some of the advisories. We've actually had an upgrade to a high wind warning for much of central and south Jersey. It basically covers the areas south and east of the turnpike and going all the way down into South Jersey, and that also includes the state of Delaware. Still have winter weather advisory. I'm sorry, wrong season. Wind advisories that run down through the rest of the Delmarva Peninsula, and also for parts of southeastern Pennsylvania, and then extending back into New Jersey to just south of Route 78. North and east of there, we don't have any wind advisories up, although it is windy, probably just below criteria for an advisory. Gale warnings are up along the coast, and we have flash flood watches up from southern New York State and the Catskills, much of New Jersey under a flood watch, much of the eastern half of Pennsylvania, so that includes both south, central, and southeastern Pennsylvania, down into Maryland and eastern Virginia. So it's a busy day indeed, and the heaviest rains are yet to come. We had a little bit of heavy rain that moved through this morning as warmer air surged up the eastern seaboard. Some folks got into that, some folks didn't, but now we're just going to wait for the cold front to make its way a little bit further to the east and start pushing this rain area closer to the coast. So here's our satellite loop loaded with moisture. You can see the rotation back, though very well-defined rotation in the lower Great Lakes, and that's the upper low that's driving all this. The deep trough runs down into the northeastern Gulf of Mexico, and you're seeing on the eastern side of that trough warm tropical air surging up the east coast. Fortunately, we don't have a lot of severe weather to deal with here. This is all going to be more about squeezing out all the moisture and the heavy rains than it is going to be about severe thunderstorms. There are going to probably be a few isolated severe thunderstorms, but we don't see any kind of widespread outbreak. Now, take a look at what's going on the radar across the northeast, down through the Carolinas, and then off the Carolina coast, and then you go down to Florida. You see the narrowness of the radar echoes themselves. There is not a whole lot to it when it comes to the extent of it from west to east. It's a relatively narrow band, but if you watch the loop carefully, you'll see that there's not a whole lot of eastward progress either. So you're getting these bands of heavy rain that are just basically training northward here. By training, meaning that those echoes are basically, you have this large area of heavy rain, and they're moving in a way where you're seeing this all pretty much falling over the same place for hours and hours on end. When we start the loop back about 3 hours ago to the present time, you'll see there's not a whole lot of progress here going from west to east. And what's going to happen is that this area will start to shift eastward later this afternoon and for tonight, so that that heavy rain is going to sit over New Jersey, eastern Pennsylvania, down to southeast PA, Delaware, Maryland, eastern Maryland, New Jersey, the Hudson Valley, southern New England, and Long Island. And I think the heaviest rains are probably going to be from New York City west. And this is also the area that has seen a lot of rain over the last 7 days. So the ground is saturated to a large extent. So creating flooding is not going to take all that much rain. Low pressure sitting in southern Michigan. You see the occluded front that sweeps from there. Point of occlusion is in northern Pennsylvania. Cold front runs south from there into North Carolina. The warm front pushing across southeast PA into southern New Jersey and slowly making its way northward. And you can see the isobars here. There's quite a few of them. So we're getting that tightening of the pressure gradient. Marginal risk of severe weather this afternoon in eastern North Carolina into South Carolina, and also pushing up northward into the southern parts of the Delmarva Peninsula. For tomorrow, we're just going to see an area of general thunderstorms, and this is with the upper low passing by from eastern Pennsylvania down to the Delmarva Peninsula, and then northeastward from there to New York City and up through upstate New York and westernmost New England. And then as we move on into the weekend, not a whole lot going on. A little bit of severe weather in eastern Colorado and Kansas, and that's just about it. The upper trough, very sharp, upper low, that's going to be shifting slowly southeastward. We've got these strong strong southerly winds in the upper layers of the atmosphere, and it's until the trough shifts closer to the coast and starts to shift offshore that we can actually see some genuine weather improvement. And I think that's going to come by Saturday. So heavy rains tonight. We'll get those out of the way. There may be some scattered showers and thunderstorms running around tomorrow as the upper low goes by. You can see that here. And then it looks like Saturday we should see some improvement. I'm going to say no worse than partly sunny. I'm going to remain optimistic for Sunday in that even though the GFS model is showing a weather front with some showers arriving sometime early on Sunday, I don't know if that's real. The other models seem to be less bullish with the idea of some scattered showers with the cold front on Sunday. You can see the NAM really doesn't do very much with it. So for now, I'll just remain guardedly optimistic that we'll have a halfway decent weekend. It may not wind up being picture perfect, but we'll settle for halfway decent. Now, as far as high temperatures are concerned, for the rest of today, of course, the onshore winds are creating issues with the numbers. So we're seeing highs that are going to be generally in the 50s along the coast and 60s as you start to get inland. Friday, because we might actually be able to squeeze in a few breaks of sunshine in the mix, even though we have the risk for some showers and storms. Look for highs mostly in the mid to maybe even the upper 60s. Saturday, if we go partly sunny, I think we could see upper 60s and maybe even push it to 70. And then on Sunday, if we can square it off with enough sunshine on Sunday, we actually could see temperatures reach into the 70s. Many areas in our region, by the way, have not seen their first 70-degree day. And that's pretty unusual to go into the beginning of the month of May and to not have had at least one day with a high temperature above 70. But that's what happens in a miserable spring. Heavy rains tonight. Most areas will get between, say, 1.5 to 2.5 inches, and some locally higher amounts in some places could be in the 3-inch range. Eastern PA, eastern half of Pennsylvania to southern New England in that zone. And then we'll start very slow improvement on Friday, a better Saturday, and hopefully we can hold on for Sunday. Joe and Joe Weather Show tonight on YouTube at 7 o'clock. Pay attention to any additional watches and warnings that come out. We'll have updates on the weather app, the meteorologist Joe Cioffi weather app, later today and for tonight. Otherwise, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your afternoon.